Wow, isn't this a beautiful day? The sun is shining, the birds are chirping, it's wonderful. And I want to talk about something, and this has been on my mind for a while, and I'm going to start it off by saying, you know how if you say something over and over again, you start to believe it? Like, for instance, you say, I'm not good enough, I'm not good enough, I'm not good enough, and you start to believe that you're not good enough. And I've noticed that kids growing up, they feel very put into a box, and the generations coming up behind me are becoming younger and younger when they realize that they're not good enough. And they shouldn't have to realize that they're not good enough. When I was their age, I thought the sky was the limit. I could be the president of the United States. I could be a global activist for peace. I could build cities. I could do anything I wanted to. I could become a firefighter. And the list went on. And now children, and then I know especially, and people that I babysit or that I get to interact with, the children are so restricted, and they're talking about things that I didn't even think about when I was their age, and they're saying that, oh well, I have this new iPod, or I am this or that, and they're being very materialistic, and they're not thinking about running and dancing in the flowers and just being a kid and enjoying that. And they're trying to grow up so fast, and they don't have that childlike fearlessness that they should. And so in a reality, you're supposed to be sky's the limit for as long as you live, because we never stop learning. We continue to learn until we die. And that's something that a lot of people, like, they think, oh, after I get out of college or after I do this, I just stop learning. I just settle down, get a job, and that's great, but that's not all there is to life. And so I want to talk about that. I want to talk about childlike fearlessness. So let's get started. So the first thing that kind of struck me was that children are being taught at an early age that, oh, money doesn't grow on trees, or you can't trust anyone. And this comes from adults saying, oh, well, I don't have enough money, so I want to tell my kids that this doesn't happen, so they should be careful. And you should be careful with your money, and you should be cautious, but you shouldn't not trust people just because somebody said, oh, well, people aren't good. Because there's a lot of good people. Give people a chance. And that's something that brings me to my next point, is that children are put into these boxes. Teachers, adults, guardians, everyone is saying to these kids, hey, you have to fit in, you have to be like the crowd, you have to follow those trends. And even though trends and those things are not necessarily bad by themselves, when they are put into the context that they are put into, of saying, oh, well, you have to follow them to be cool, to be popular, to survive. You shouldn't have to survive in society. You should thrive. You should be able to say, I can conquer that mountain. I can become the greatest person that I can be. And that's something that I feel bad, is that these kids are saying, I can't do that. I have to stay in this box. I have to fit in, I have to dress a certain way, I have to act a certain way. And they shouldn't have to. They should be able to dress and act and become the person that they are meant to be. And so at an early age, while I was skipping and playing with flowers and pretending that I was a warrior princess, and I didn't always pretend I was a princess either. I pretended that I was this great knight following and saving people. And instead, these kids are thinking, I gotta be that Instagram model. And even though that's not bad, the way it's projected to these young children is not in the right way at all. And so just be cautious of your words, because these children are very malleable and they take in all of what's around them. So just be careful. Alright, number 2. So the second thing that kind of caught my mind and leading up in my talk about children to adults and how they should have childlike fearlessness and no limits is that I've noticed that teens, I'm 15, and so I hang out with a lot of teenagers because I'm a teenager, and we can be so stupid, and we're silly, and we make jokes that are kind of raunchy sometimes, and we're just learning what it is to be a human, and we're really starting to get in touch with ourselves and how inside we feel. And so it sucks that society is trying to say, you need to be like this. And I know it's gotten a lot better, and that there's all these activists, and we're trying to make a difference so that these teenagers don't have to grow up feeling that they have to be a trendy person, or they have to be this or that, or a kid has to become a football player or has to become a dancer. And that shouldn't be the case. They should feel that they can have the sky, that they can be able to believe in whatever they want to believe in and become the person that they want to become. And as a kid, you're supposed to be silly and just be a kid and just not have worries. And as a teenager, you gain more responsibility, but that shouldn't mean that you've been any more limited. And I've noticed that with my friends. I know a guy, and we were talking about college and our futures, and I was saying, I want to do something great. I want to go abroad for a year, or go and study at a college that is foreign, and do that, and just do whatever, and have a lot of fun, and travel, and just, the future is a very mysterious thing, but I want to do it. And he had told me, he had said, oh, I can't do that. And he had said, I don't have the financial situation and the money, and I'm just going to go to a small four-year. I'm just going to do that. And I said, that's great. But I asked him why, and he said, because I just can't. There's not the money, there's not the time. And I feel like he was that kid that was told, money doesn't grow on trees. You don't have that money, so you can't do it. And I had to tell him, I had to say, dude, that's not the case. You can do whatever you want to do. And even though it's kind of weird hearing that from a peer, I hope I helped him, because there are scholarships, there are grants, there are so many ways for you to do what you want to do. And I love that about the world, is that you don't have to be put into a box. You don't have to have a normal life if you're not destined to. Like some people, they're going to be great moms. They're going to be great business people. But that doesn't mean that's for everyone, and that shouldn't be. We're all unique in different ways. And teenagers, they think that it's either society's way or the highway. And they shouldn't have to survive. They should thrive and be able to grow and mature in their society without feeling those strains and saying, I can't do it, I can't do it, I don't have the money, the time. And they put these things on themselves, and they put that burden, and so they're weighed down and they can't do it. And instead, I just want to tell all teenagers out there, you can do whatever you want to do, and you shouldn't have to feel that way. So thrive. Don't have to survive. Surviving's great, but what if you can survive and become the best person and learn? Isn't that what really matters? So, the last thing I want to talk about is people. Number 3. And this goes for adults. I just want to shout out to adults and say, you're just doing the best you can do. You've grown up, you've gotten through high school probably. If you went to college or gotten a degree or something like that, you think you're done. You don't think you have to learn anything else. You think, I'm good. I've hit capacity, carrying capacity, I'm done. Throw some science terms in there. But in reality, you're just getting started. You've just started your life. And if you're older, that means you're continuing on that journey. And you can still learn a new hobby, you can still learn a new language, you can do whatever you want, because you're not done learning. Like, seriously, you don't stop learning until you're dead, basically, is what the whole thing is. And so you shouldn't feel that way. And that also, when you're influencing other people, you are influencing them. I just want to put that out there, that if you have kids or you have nephews or you volunteer with little kids, the things you say really matter to them, and you probably already know that, but I'm just saying that kids and teenagers and young adults are super malleable. Me in particular too. Somebody says something that's kind of hurtful or something that makes me think, I'm saying, what does that mean for me, and how am I gonna let it influence my life? And I know a lot of kids don't always think that way, and that's fine. So what I want to like challenge you to do is to say, hey, I'm still learning, which means I don't know everything, and I'm not going to put that restriction on someone else. And those kids that I talked about earlier that have those people that are saying, hey, you can't do that because you don't have the money, or you can't trust that person because you don't know them and they could be bad. Well, if you think, hey, everybody's bad and that, you're just living with the glass half empty, but it could be half full, right? So think about that when you're talking to people and say, hey, you are great and you can do whatever you want because you're an individual and you are the person that will change the world one step at a time. We're all ants, but with enough ants, you can knock over a tree. That's crazy, right? So think about that. Think about that you are helping to raise the next generation with all the words you say and with all the actions that you do. So thrive. Don't survive, and help other people thrive. Because if you don't thrive, are you really surviving? No, you're at carrying capacity. Which in reality, we're always exponentially growing. We're not just stuck at a middle level, but you make yourself become stuck at that middle level when you don't let yourself break through, when you don't say, I have the sky, and the sky is the limit, and whatever I do, I can do it with all of my being, and I am amazing, and I am going to share that message with other people. So, you adults out there, I love you, and you are the influencers of the younger generations. So do your job well and thrive, because you still got learning to do. We definitely still got learning to do. So let's all coexist and keep exponentially growing to the sky, because isn't that the best thing about life? We just keep on a-truckin'. Hey, is this thing on? Is this thing on? Hey everybody, so I hope you liked that video. I hope you got some inspiration to fight the haters, fight society, but not in a bad way. You don't want to fight it with your fists. You want to fight it with your mind and your actions and your words. Because by influencing someone else and helping that person, you're changing society one step at a time. And if everyone does that, that means that change happens. And we need to keep being that change. And surviving is great, but thriving is fantastic. So be that childlike fearlessness and do whatever you want. Be that survivor that says, I'm not going to survive, I'm going to be a thriver, which sounds weird, but you got to thrive, and the sky's the limit. So I hope you guys got something out of it. As I say again, I hope you like and subscribe and take into account my words, because you're amazing. So comment down below if you have feedback. I love to hear your feedback, because you help me grow as a person and get my videos to become even better than they are. And so, yeah, also support me on Patreon, because I need your support with my endeavors and my travels, as well as PayPal. I got a PayPal, guys. And also, I'm on Instagram and Facebook, so check out That Girl Goes Far, and I have links to my private account, also my quotes account, and there's so many great things that I have in store, and I got rumbling around in my mind that I'm gonna be producing. So support me and enjoy your life. Thrive, don't survive. So be that fearless person that I know you are. Bye, everybody.